After I successfully closed the deal on Chloe Sullivan, I married her. Then on our first wedding anniversary, the one that got away came back. Chloe, I came back for you. Divorce him, be with me. I advised Chloe not to be impulsive, that she would regret it, but she was dead set on divorcing me, her once loving eyes now filled with ice. I'm sorry, Leo. I only married you out of spite after Ethan married someone else. He said he couldn't be with me because he was divorced, and I wasn't. Now that I'll be divorced too, he won't feel insecure anymore. I hope you won't make this difficult. I looked coldly at the woman I'd spent 3 years with, and without a moment's hesitation spoke to the system. System, I'm cashing in my privilege. It was a reward the system granted me for a successful acquisition, system acknowledged. Ascribing blame is more efficient than self-reflection. Target termination protocol initiated, countdown 7 days. I'm a closer. I jumped between realities closing deals. My 100th assignment was to acquire Chloe Sullivan, specifically to get her to marry me before her 28th birthday. When I poured it in, Chloe wasn't the CEO of a multi-million-dollar tech firm. She is now. She was just a regular employee from a middle-class family. To fast-track our connection, I had the system set me up with an entry-level position at her company. We became colleagues. We worked together, got promoted together, and slowly we became friends. But I knew she had a ghost in her. Ethan Cole. He was the heir to a fortune, handsome, the kind of guy who had women falling all over him. They had dated in college, but it ended when he moved abroad. She never really let him go. Her hope finally shattered when he got engaged to a blue-blood heiress from a family as powerful as his own. That night, Chloe collapsed into my arms sobbing. Leo, I'm so glad I have you here with me. She lamented that if she'd been born into money, she would have been the one he chose, not the one he left behind. I told her I had money, that we could build something ourselves, and so with my backing, she founded a tech startup that quickly began making waves in the industry. We officially started dating. I proposed once during that time, but she turned me down. Then news broke that Ethan had gotten married. Chloe descended into a spiral, getting wasted every night, completely neglecting her work. I spent my days running her company and my nights taking care of her, never once complaining. It's a job. Success comes with a reward. Failure is just a setback. I'm a season closer. I don't flinch at minor turbulence. My track record of successful acquisitions had earned me some perks from the central system. Then a month before her 28th birthday, she suddenly proposed to me. She asked if I was willing to marry her. Of course I said yes. But I still had to ask the question, if Ethan Cole came back for you, would you leave with him? Her answer then was unequivocal, absolutely not, over my dead body. Chloe said that without me she'd be nothing, that she would never ever leave me. I asked her 3 times, and each time I got the same answer. That very promise became the special privilege the system granted me upon completing my mission. We got married. Mission accomplished. 6 months after our wedding, Ethan Cole returned to the States. From that moment on, Chloe grew distant. She was distracted at home. Her focus at work slipped, and she started talking to Ethan again, which brings us to tonight, our first anniversary party. We'd invited our friends and family to celebrate. Ethan came too. Chloe's eyes lit up when she saw him, her face electric with anticipation. In front of everyone, Ethan laid his heart bare. Chloe, I can't live without you. I came back for you. Will you divorce him and be with me? I took Chloe's hand, giving her one last chance. Do you remember what you promised me? I'm sorry, Leo. Her face was a mask of apology, but she pulled her hand from mine and walked toward Ethan. I only married you out of spite after Ethan married someone else. He said he couldn't be with me because he was divorced. I figure if I'm divorced too, he won't feel insecure anymore. Please don't drag this out. I'm grateful for everything these past few years, but I was never in love with you. It's always been Ethan. She could turn on a dime. After 3 years together, fine, I'd give her exactly what she wanted. I spoke to the system. System, I'm using my privilege. System confirm execution, confirmed. Absolutely. System, target termination protocol initiated, countdown 7 days. Ethan's gaze was pure smugness and provocation. In the end, Leo, you just can't compete with me. Chloe's heart belongs to me. If you know what's good for you, you'll sign the papers and disappear. Otherwise, with my family's influence, I can think of 1,000 ways to make your life a living hell. I knew he was savoring this moment, but I felt nothing, not a flicker of anger. I'd already received my mission bonus. Not to mention, I'd made a small fortune over the past 3 years. Emotionally, I didn't feel like I'd lost a thing. If you asked me who I love most, the answer would always be my money and myself. Losing Chloe was at most an inconvenience. In fact, I was relieved she didn't have the patience to keep up the act. Now that she'd shown her true colors, I didn't have to stick around until old age to start my next mission. As per the original contract, divorcing her now meant I could leave early. It was a win-win. In 7 days, I would let Ethan watch Chloe wither like a dying flower. He would get a front row seat to her demise. I looked at the arrogant man before me, then at Chloe, who stood beside him with a slight frown and a cold expression. She looked like she wanted to say something, but held her tongue. Suddenly I laughed, a bright, genuine laugh. I ignored Ethan completely, my eyes fixed on Chloe. You're really something, Chloe. Look at your boy here, can't wait a single second. Why didn't you make an honest man out of him sooner? Chloe's face turned pale. Leo, what are you talking about? I shrugged, exactly what it sounds like. Ethan took a step forward, his voice laced with menace. Leo, I'm an heir to the Cole fortune, you'd better watch your mouth. My smile never wavered. What's a rush? Did I say I wouldn't agree to a divorce? Let's just sign the settlement. I turned to my assistant, who was waiting nearby. Bring the papers. She handed me the folder, and I passed it to Chloe. The assets are already divided. If you have no objections, just sign it now. It was Chloe's turn to be stunned. Her eyes went wide as she stared at me. You? How did you have this ready? It's a divorce settlement. It's for getting a divorce. Seeing the disbelief on her face, I scoffed internally. I'd overheard her on the phone with Ethan last night. He told her he was coming to win her back, and she'd laughed, giddy with excitement. So I had my lawyer draw up the papers overnight. I tapped the document. Miss Sullivan, it's all in black and white. Read it and sign. Don't waste my time. Chloe still looked dazed, but when she saw my mocking smile, her expression hardened. She grit her teeth. Fine. She scanned the pages quickly and scrawled her name on the signature line. Let's go. I stuffed my hands in my pockets and turned to leave. Go. Chloe frowned. Go where? City Hall to file the papers. I said it like it was the most obvious thing in the world. The settlement's signed. If we hurry, we can get the divorce decree before they close. I know you're in a hurry. So am I. You're in a hurry. Chloe's frown deepened as she repeated my words, confused. She must have expected me to break down, to beg her to stay. My swift agreement had clearly thrown her off balance. I watched her stand there frozen and raised an eyebrow. What? Having second thoughts. Chloe snapped back to reality, instinctively glancing at Ethan, who said anything about second thoughts. Let's go. That's more like it. I walked briskly out of the ballroom. Just then the system's voice echoed in my target's lifespan reduced by 15%. I glanced back and saw the light in Chloe's eyes dim, the vibrant energy draining from her face. When we got to the courthouse, Ethan was waiting by the entrance. Chloe and I walked in one after the other. After we sat down, the clerk began the routine questions. What is the reason for this divorce? Chloe opened her mouth, but before she could speak, I cut in. The one that got away came back. They rekindled an old flame. I'm stepping aside to let these two lovebirds be together. The clerk froze, unsure how to respond. Chloe's face flushed red, then went pale, whether from anger or embarrassment I couldn't tell. She hissed at me under her breath. Leo, stop making things up. I held her my hands. You did it. Why are you afraid of people knowing? TSK, she wants to play the sinner and the saint. How disgusting. A flicker of guilt and conflict crossed her face, but she quickly suppressed it. Biting her lip, I know I hurt you, but I can't let go of Ethan. I don't want to live with any regrets. I was done with her phony act. I turned to the baffled clerk. We're both consenting adults. Our assets are divided. We have no children, and the settlement agreement is signed. Let me know what other documents you need, and I'll have my assistant bring them over. I laid it all out, not wanting to waste another second. Chloe stared at me shocked. I prompted her. Are you going to get the agreement out, or are you trying to make everyone here work late? Her expression soured with a deep note of dissatisfaction. She said, You've changed, Leo. You were never like this. I thought you would try to stop me. I didn't expect you to be so eager. Have you wanted to divorce me for a long time? What? I agreed to the divorce without a fight, and now she's upset. She's a real pro at flipping script. Ordinarily, I wouldn't kick someone when they're down, and she was quite literally dying, but her audacity was too much. The gloves came off. Did you check your brain at the door, or was it surgically removed at birth? You're the one who started messing around with Ethan. You're the one who asked for the divorce, and now you're trying to pin this on me. You've got some serious nerve." Seeing her face twist in anger, I twisted the knife. "The only reason you're upset is because I'm not on my knees begging you to stay. Your ego can't handle it." I leaned back, crossing my arms. "You should consider a career as a chef. You're an expert at passing the buck." My words left her completely stunned. She stared at me, her eyes wide with bewilderment and shock, as if she were seeing a stranger. Her lips moved, but no sound came out. The clerk, recovering, slid 2 forms across the table. "Sign these, and you'll receive your certificate of divorce." I signed my name without hesitation. Chloe's face was grim. She held the pen, but her hand didn't move. She looked at me, a question in her eyes. After taking a deep breath, she asked resentfully, "Is there nothing else you want to say to me?" "There is," I nodded. "I'm pulling all of my investment capital from Sullivan Tech." The color drained from her face. Shock and panic filled her eyes. "You do something vindictive just because we got a divorce." Her eyes darted around, and then she said angrily, "Or is this your way of forcing me to stay with you?" I almost laughed out loud. "I told you she was clueless. Stop with the fan fiction," I said flatly. "We're divorced. I want no further connection to you, which means I'm liquidating my assets in your company. Now sign the form. Get out, and let me enjoy my freedom." Each word was delivered with cold precision. The emotions warring on Chloe's face were a sight to behold. Her hand trembled as she finally signed her name, pressing so hard the tip of the pen nearly tore through the paper. The process was quick. We were handed our respective divorce certificates. I tucked mine into my jacket pocket and walked away. "Leo," Chloe called out behind me. I didn't hear a thing. I just walked faster, leaving her and our past behind without a single glance back. I had nothing left to say to a dead woman walking. I spent the next 2 days liquidating my assets in this reality. The system informed me Chloe's lifespan had been reduced by 45%. In the afternoon, I got a call from the front desk. Chloe's parents were in the lobby making a scene and demanding to see me. Security had stopped them, but they were throwing a tantrum, drawing a crowd. Fine. If they wanted to self-destruct, I was happy to oblige. I told my assistant to bring them up to my office and had 2 security guards posted outside the door. The moment Mr. and Mrs. Sullivan walked in, they started shouting, "Is there no decency left in the world? You were our son-in-law. How could you just kick us out of our home? Leo, all that kindness you showed us, was it all an act? I've never seen someone turn so cold so fast. Come on, Leo, you can't be this heartless. Even if you and Chloe are divorced, we still have a history. Can't we all just get along like we used to?" After their tirade, they plopped down on my leather sofa as if they wouldn't leave until they got what they wanted. I knew exactly why they were here. I had repossessed the luxury condo I'd let them live in and dismissed the housekeeping staff. They'd gotten used to the high life, and the return to normalcy was a shock to their system. But we were divorced. Who did they think was going to indulge them now? Mr. and Mrs. Sullivan, Chloe and I are divorced. Why on earth should I let you live in my property for free? Chloe's mother slapped her thigh and launched into a rant. "What do you mean by that, Leo? You're the CEO of a major company. Do you really need that one condo? My daughter signed some agreement when she divorced you, but we don't recognize it. That condo is ours and you're gonna let us live there. And I'm telling you, Leo, there's no way we're leaving. If you push us, we'll see you in court." Her husband played good cop. "Leo, we're old. Life isn't easy for us. Just let us keep the place. If this gets messy, it'll be bad for everyone." I raised an eyebrow, intrigued. "So you came here today to demand I give you a $2 million property?" Thinking I was caving, they exchanged a triumphant glance. Chloe's mother said, "We're not asking for much. It's just one condo." I burst out laughing. Mrs. Sullivan glared at me. "What's so funny?" "Let me tell you, Chloe's new fiancé is from a very powerful family. You don't mess with them." She pointed a finger at me, her voice dripping with entitlement. "You're giving us that condo one way or another. Otherwise, I'm not leaving this office." I rose slowly from my chair, looking at them like they were something that scraped off my shoe. A brain is a terrible thing to waste. I suggest you try using yours sometime. The nerve to waltz in here and demand a $2 million condo. You're not just ugly, you dream big too. I have an entire legal team on retainer. Please, sue me. The Sullivans stared at me for a few seconds, the reality of the situation dawning on them. Their faces curdled with rage. Mrs. Sullivan shot up from the couch and started screaming obscenities at me. I calmly cleaned out my ear. Are you done barking? That sent her over the edge. She lunged at me, but my security team was inside in a flash, shielding me. Enraged, she and her husband started smashing things in my office. Vases, awards, anything they could get their hands on. I just watched them, completely calm, and had my assistant call the police. When the officers arrived, Mrs. Sullivan claimed that since their daughter had a stake in my company, they had every right to destroy my property. After hearing my side of the story, the police arrested them for vandalism and trespassing. The Sullivans were dumbfounded. They never imagined I would actually call the cops. After all, in the past, whatever they wanted, they got. As I was leaving the office building that evening, I saw Chloe and Ethan waiting for me. I knew they were here about her parents. A wave of annoyance washed over me, and my brow furrowed. Chloe rushed toward me, her voice a torrent of accusations. Leo, don't you think you've gone too far? Just because we're divorced, you throw my parents in jail. How can you be so cruel? They're old. They don't know any better. Did you really have to stoop to their level? Her face was pale, and even a thick layer of foundation couldn't hide her exhaustion. In just 3 days, she had lost all her former vitality. Every sentence left her breathless, as if speaking was a monumental effort. How tragic. A small smile played on my lips. And what if I did? Chloe's expression soured, but she softened her tone. Leo, my parents just damaged some of your office property. You're not hurting for money. Just let them go, please. I had a feeling there was more to it. I crossed my arms, and Chloe, thinking I was still the same pushover, brightened. You said you were going to make a new capital injection into my company. I was just wondering when that would happen. Her shamelessness was so profound it was almost impressive. I laughed. Chloe, I have money, more money than I could ever spend. But why in the world would I give any of it to you? She frowned, her sense of entitlement unwavering. Even if we're divorced, you can't just stand by and watch my company fail, can you? I had propped her up for years, both publicly and behind the scenes. Her success was built on my foundation. But if I could lift her to the heavens, I could just as easily drag her down to hell. Chloe, I seriously suggest you get CAT scan. I shifted my gaze to Ethan, who had been silent this whole time. Isn't your new man right here? Why don't you ask him for help? A flicker of tension crossed Chloe's face, but she quickly composed herself, lifting her chin. We're not officially married yet. I don't want to use his money. I couldn't be bothered with this idiot anymore. I turned to Ethan with a smirk. Mr. Cole, you're a real man's man. I have to admire you. Letting your girlfriend go begging her ex for money. I could never. You're an heir to the Cole fortune, aren't you? Are you planning on having me support both of you after you get married? Ethan's face turned ugly. He ground out. Watch what you say, Leo. Compared to the Cole family, you're a nobody. I shrugged. Then why are you here asking me for money? His expression twisted. He shot a nervous glance at Chloe before muttering. It was her idea. Chloe glared at him, clearly unhappy. I watched the drama unfold. Chloe must have asked Ethan for help, and he must have refused, using the "we're not married yet" excuse. The truth was, for all his bluster, Ethan had been cut off by his family. He'd racked up massive gambling debts abroad and fled back to the States to escape them. The Coles were now grooming his younger brother to take over. Avoiding Chloe's gaze, Ethan turned his anger on me. Don't get too comfortable, Leo. Chloe and I are getting married soon, and I'll take care of her then. I nodded, offering a piece of sincere advice. You'd better make it quick. After all, Chloe was running out of time. We don't need you to worry about us. Ethan snapped, pulling Chloe into his arms. She tried to say something else to me, but he dragged her away. They didn't get more than a few steps before I heard Ethan's panicked cry. Chloe, what's wrong? I glanced over. Chloe had gone completely limp, collapsing in his arms like a rag doll. I felt nothing, as if I hadn't seen a thing. I started humming a tune and walked away. On the day before Chloe was scheduled to die, I received an invitation to her wedding with Ethan. I wasn't sure why they were in such a rush, but I wouldn't miss it for the world. I needed to be there to witness her final moments. It was a small affair, mostly Chloe's close friends and business partners. That day, Chloe appeared in a white wedding gown, clinging to Ethan's arm. She was smiling, but her face was even more pale than before. Her eyes were sunken, and she was so thin, she looked like a strong gust of wind could carry her away. System, what's a remaining lifespan? System, target's lifespan is at 10%, excellent. Before walking down the aisle, Chloe made a point to come over and gloat. See, Leo, I don't need your help. I have Ethan now. She looked down her nose at me, overflowing with smug satisfaction. I'm gonna be Mrs. Ethan Cole. I'm out of your league now. I hope you find someone too so you don't have to attend other people's weddings all alone. A faint mocking smile touched my lips. Your parents are still in a holding cell. What exactly are you celebrating? Since I had refused to drop the charges, they were still in custody. The color drained from her face. She hissed through clenched teeth. Ethan said he'll get my parents out as soon as we're married. Is that so? I replied, my expression unchanged, my voice light. I can't wait to see that. Frustrated that she couldn't get a rise out of me, she shot me a venomous glare and stalked back to Ethan's side. Every step seemed to be a monumental effort, leaving her panting for breath, beads of sweat forming on her forehead. I watched with great interest as they walked up to the altar, exchanged vows, slipped rings on each other's fingers, and finally leaned in for the kiss. System, target termination, final second of countdown initiated. The moment I heard the system's alert, my eyes lit up. I pulled out my phone. In the next instant, Chloe's eyes went vacant and her body went limp, slumping against Ethan. Gasps rippled through the crowd. No one knew what had happened. Ethan at first was oblivious. He probably thought his kiss had made her weak in the knees. He shot a triumphant, provocative glance in my direction and kissed her even more passionately. I had to physically restrain myself from laughing out loud. Dude, you're making out with a corpse. What's there to be proud of? After another moment, Ethan finally realized something was wrong. The woman in his arms was turning a deathly shade of blue. She wasn't breathing. Panic seized him. He shoved her away. Thud. Chloe's body hit the stage with a sickening sound. Her head cracking hard against the polished floor, a dark pool of blood began to spread from beneath her head, trickling over the edge of the platform. The room erupted into chaos. People screamed. Others ran for the exits. System, frowny-faced target has been terminated. All I could say was impressive. At that same moment I saw her, Chloe's soul, a shimmering translucent form, slowly detached itself from her body and floated upwards. When she looked down and saw her own cooling corpse, she clutched her head and let out a silent, ghostly scream. Ethan was on his knees, retching violently onto the floor. Amid the noise, someone finally had the sense to call 911. I walked over to Chloe's body and looked down at her. Her ghost hovered above me. Seeing my cold, tearless expression, she became furious. Her voice a frantic, ethereal whisper only I could hear. Leo, I'm dead and you're not even sad. We were together for 3 years. Just wait. When they revive me, I'll make you pay for this. A few minutes later, the paramedics arrived. After a brief examination, they announced there was nothing to be done. She was gone. Chloe's ghost went ballistic, screaming and clawing at the air. She dove downwards, trying desperately to re-enter her body, but it was like trying to pass through a solid wall. She was utterly powerless. Pretending I couldn't see her, I turned my attention to Ethan, who had finally stopped throwing up. He reached out a trembling hand, touched Chloe's body in disbelief, his voice shaking. Chloe, how can you be dead? Seeing Ethan's distress, Chloe's frantic ghost seemed to calm down for a moment. Ethan, you must be heartbroken. How will you live without me? Just then a shrill ringtone cut through the chaos. It was Ethan's phone. With a shaking hand, he fumbled with the phone for a long moment before finally answering. Honey, from the other end a woman's sharp, commanding voice was faintly audible. Don't call me that, Ethan. I thought we agreed on a divorce. I'm back in the country. Pick a time and let's go to the courthouse. The color drained from Ethan's face. Panic flared in his eyes. Honey, I'm sorry I was wrong. Can we not get a divorce? I promise I can change. There's no point, Ethan. A leopard can't change its spots. The woman on the phone replied bluntly. Ethan's face grew even paler. Where are you? I'll come to you right now. We can talk about this in person. I'm right outside the hotel where you're getting married. The line went dead. Ethan stood there, stunned and terrified, clutching his phone as he scrambled for the exit. Chloe's ghost, snapping back to reality, reached for him, her ethereal hand passing right through his arm. She froze, then roared in silent fury. Ethan, don't you walk away from me. You explain this right now. But he couldn't hear her. She could only watch in horror as he disappeared through the hotel doors. Panicked, she tried to follow him, only to slam into an invisible barrier. She was tethered to me, unable to move more than a few feet away. Ethan, don't go. Come back here. After another failed attempt, she realized she was stuck with me. She turned her ghostly form desperate. "Leo, go after him. I need to talk to him." I ignored her. By now her body was being lifted onto a stretcher. A paramedic asked if any family or friends wanted to accompany her to the morgue. Not a single person stepped forward. Even her supposed best friends suddenly had urgent matters to attend to. Chloe's ghost wailed at the callousness of it all, still unable to accept that she was truly dead. If she was going to be this miserable, I might as well help her along. I strode out of the hotel as soon as we were outside. We saw him, Ethan, and standing opposite him was a woman. She was dressed in a sharp black power suit, her makeup flawless, her eyes piercing and intelligent. Ethan rushed to her side, taking her arm in a pleading gesture. "Honey, I know I messed up. Please don't divorce me." The sight sent Chloe's ghost into a rage, fire burning in her spectral eyes. "Ethan, you told me you were divorced. Why are you calling her that? Why are you touching her?" Of course Ethan couldn't hear her. He was too busy groveling to his wife, Victoria Sterling. "Victoria, please believe me. I can change. From now on I'll do whatever you say." Victoria pulled her arm away, her expression frigid. And what exactly was today's wedding about? Ethan hesitated, then put on a look of profound reluctance. "Victoria, I was forced into it. It was that woman Chloe. She told me she was dying and that her last wish was to marry me. I didn't know what else to do." When Victoria's cold expression didn't soften, he grew more desperate. "We never even got a marriage license. The wedding was just for show. You're the only one for me. You have to believe me." Victoria let out a cold, humorless laugh. "Should I?" Ethan dropped to one knee, raising a hand as if to swear an oath. "Honey, I swear it's all true. Look, they're bringing her body out right now. She's really dead in an instant." Chloe's ghostly face contorted with a vicious, consuming hatred. She screamed a silent, raging torrent of betrayal. "Ethan, why did you lie to me? I gave up everything for you. I divorced my husband for you, and you betrayed me. I hope you rot in hell, Ethan. Rot in hell." She lunged at him again and again, trying to tear him apart, but her hands passed through him every time. She couldn't touch him. She froze for a moment, then collapsed into a fit of hopeless, broken sobs. "Leo, I'm sorry. I was wrong. I was so wrong. I regret everything." All I could say was that Chloe got what she deserved. She took my loyalty for granted, got arrogant, thought she was untouchable. Did she really think Ethan came back for her? He saw her as a walking ATM, a source of funds to pay off his debts. He was never going to marry her back then, and he certainly wasn't going now. She knew why, deep down, but she was too proud to admit it. She had fatally overestimated her importance in his life. Just then Victoria Sterling looked over at me and gave a slight, formal nod. "Mr. Vance, thank you for informing me of Ethan's whereabouts." Ethan, still on one knee, looked up confused. His eyes darted between me and Victoria. He scrambled to his feet, his hands clenched into fists. "What does that mean? When did you two meet?" "How?" My smile was thin. "The moment I received your wedding invitation." The truth was, I've been running a background check on Ethan ever since he got back in touch with Chloe. I knew everything about his time abroad. I never tried to stop Chloe from seeing him. I have no use for someone whose loyalty is conditional. I knew Victoria had been trying to divorce him, but he'd vanished. I also discovered he'd siphoned a significant amount of her money to fund his gambling habit. So I sold her the information about his wedding. It was the perfect opportunity for her to corner him. "Ethan, since you refused to sign the divorce papers, I'm afraid I have no choice but to hand you over to your creditors," Victoria said calmly. The threat hit its mark. The color drained from Ethan's face, and he bolted. He didn't get far. Victoria's security team intercepted him, pinning him to the ground. They dragged him, limp as a sack of flour, and threw him into the back of a black SUV. He struggled, screaming in terror. "Victoria, I'm sorry. I was wrong. Please don't do this. They'll kill me." Victoria watched, her face a mask of indifference, before she got in her car. She turned to me. "Mr. Vance, the funds have been transferred to your account." I nodded. She slipped into the car, and the SUV sped away, carrying a screaming Ethan Cole off to his fate. Seeing this, Chloe's ghost let out a wild, gleeful laugh, a cackle of pure schadenfreude. "Serge, you're right. Ha ha ha. Look at you now, Ethan. This is what you get. This is karma. Ha ha." Her laughter dissolved into tears, and she began to sob again. Leo, I'm so scared. I'm so young. I don't want to be dead. My parents are still in jail. They'll be devastated when they find out I'm gone. I'm their only daughter. What will they do without me? Right, her parents. I drove to the police precinct and told the desk sergeant I wanted to discuss a reconciliation with the Sullivans. Chloe's ghost, trailing along, grew excited. Leo, you really are the best of me. I regret divorcing you so much. When Mr. and Mrs. Sullivan were brought into the room, their arrogance from a few days ago was gone. Mrs. Sullivan spoke in a meek, pleading tone. Leo, we know we were wrong. Please be the bigger person and don't hold it against us. We're old. We got confused. Mr. Sullivan nodded vigorously. Yes, we were wrong. Please forgive us this one time. I glanced at Chloe's ghost who was anxiously circling me. Leo, I know you still care about me. For my sake, please let my parents go. I turned my gaze back to the Sullivans and stated calmly, before we discuss a reconciliation, there's something you need to know. Chloe is dead. Chloe's parents stared at me, their faces blank with disbelief. I played them the video I had recorded at the wedding. Only then did the reality sink in. And yet, when they finally accepted that their daughter was dead, there was no grief, not a single tear. Her mother just pursed her lips in disapproval. She rushed off to get married while we were stuck in here. How ungrateful. The death of her daughter was an afterthought. Still, she's dead now, so we inherit everything. That should be a few $100 million at least. Her father nodded. Yes, at least she had the decency to leave us some money. How else were we supposed to survive in our old age? Chloe's ghost froze. When she recovered, she screamed at her parents a silent, hysterical tirade. I knew it. You never loved me. You only ever loved the money. She was heartbroken, tears of ectoplasm streaming down her face. In that moment, as if finally remembering, she murmured, Leo, in this whole world you were the only one who was ever truly good to me. How ironic, when I gave her everything she didn't care. She took it for granted and hurt me repeatedly.